So I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Cindy Fox Griffey.
Here.
Debbie Haley.
Here.
Caleb Hunter.
Here.
Matt Johannesman.
Here.
Jeanette Kochner.
Here.
Scott Kochmeyer.
Here.
Dan Kuntz.
Here.
Rick Masterson.
Here.
Brian Punman. Dick Ruffker.
Here.
Robert Schmidt.
Here.
James Tagnoni.
Here. Thank you. Everyone received the minutes in an email form. I would accept a motion for the approval of the February 20th minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussions or additions? All those in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. This time we'll open public comment. Wherever you want.
Thank you very much, members of the County Road Board. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff. I'm a county public advocate, and I live in O'Fallon. First thing that I'd like to see is I'd like to see the road board be more transparent. You know, you raise about $25 million every year with a half-cent sales tax, but your supporting documents aren't put online. And so the county council's office and our government spent tens of thousands of dollars in software. I'd like to see our staff utilize that software to put the same supporting documents that you have in your big three-ring binders online for 435,000 county residents to see. Now, the next couple months, there's a lot of plans from the various cities and municipalities that are going to be forthcoming, and I think that needs to be shared with the citizens of our county. So that's the first thing I'd like to ask. On your agenda is B, and I haven't seen the exact proposals for the city of O'Fallon, but I know that there's a large development at the corner of I-64, Double D, Missouri Highway Double D, and Winghaven Boulevard. It's a development proposed by Payne Family Homes. And I think that they need to have a sense of responsibility here. They're creating a huge impact with a large number of homes, a large number of commercial developments, and I think they need to pay their fair share in terms of all the transportation increase that they're asking for in terms of the new ramps, the new configurations at I-64, Winghaven, and Double D. They need to start paying their fair share for the turning lanes into their development and the traffic lights. And because it's such a large project, I'm asking that no more than 35% of road board, federal, and local O'Fallon taxes be used, and the rest, the other 65%, be made up by Payne Family Homes and their other developer partners. I think it's the fair thing to do. They're making the profits off of this development. They're going to be making a lot of money, and they have a responsibility of accountability to the taxpayers and to the city of O'Fallon and St. Charles County to pay their fair share. There should be no more free rides of developers in O'Fallon or parts of St. Charles County any longer. There needs to be proper impact fees and proper, if they're going to create the development, then they need to pay for the infrastructure, and there should be no tax cuts or no tax abatement or free rides. So I ask that on this Payne Family Development Home at Double D, Winghaven, and I-64, that no more than 35% of road board funds and federal funds be used on this project. Thank you.
Any additional public comment? Seeing none, at this time public comment is closed. So what we will move on to is the 2020-2022 TIP project presentation. So we'll do probably about half the municipalities. We'll do about half of the workload this evening and then the other half next month. So Amanda, is this the order we want to go in? Does anybody need to go ahead or anything?
I think this is it.
Okay, so we'll begin with the city of Cottleville.
Your slides.
Okay. You go over here. All right, good evening, afternoon, whatever it is. My name is Rich Francis. I'm here representing the city of Cottleville. We do a project called Highway In. It's from Motherhead Road to Mid-River Mall Drive. It's just about a mile-long stretch of highway. Around here. It's kind of a little blurry, but this is the section. This would be Motherhead Road right here. This is Highway In. This is Mid-River Mall Drive. Kind of orient you where we're at. Menino's Meat Market would be right here. Sager Middle School and Francis House Central is right, comes into here. Rack House, Exit 6, Salty's Mexican Restaurant, Snooks, Moe's, and Raising Cane. Kind of get you oriented if you've been up and down Highway in. It's a long straight stretch of street. Counts for the traffic on that road, 2018 is 14,000 cars roughly. 2038 is projected to be almost 21,000 cars. There's a lot of activity, obviously you can imagine with the school being here. As mentioned, I did mention, but over here at St. Joe, this is a Catholic school, so there's a lot of traffic, foot traffic and vehicle traffic that goes up and down through this. There's a very busy stretch of roadway. Request, here's another map I can show you a little better. This would show you in the kind of the colored area, it's City of Cotterville. St. Peter's is down here in the blue, and then the white section is the unincorporated county. So you can see, we're talking about the south side. You can see that probably, I think there's 24 parcels altogether, and 16 of them are in the county. So about 2/3 of the project is for county side. Small section here, this is the fire station, and the cigar bars right here, so it's just a small section of Cotterville. So most of the foot traffic is all walking up and down this side of the road to get to the school, to get to the businesses in that areas. You have some photos of the road condition. These are all going to be taken. I can't get that. Anyway, these are all going to be taking a look at east. This is down pretty much at the entrance to Snooks. This is the widest section. Got 6 lanes here. You can see with the turn lanes that go through here. There you go.
Tell me when you want the next one.
Next slide.
Okay.
I'm just going to step back down the roadway. Again, you can see roadway is about cracking. There's some deteriorated areas. If you're familiar with the Pazer rating, it's a 4 out of 10. So it does need some areas that have to be reconstructed and overlaid. You'll also notice as you look at these slides, this is the side that Cotterville has just redone. In 2013, the county applied for funding from East-West Gateway and received it to overlay this roadway, but they didn't anticipate the large cost associated with bringing up either side of the roadway to ADA compliant sidewalks. So they lost that funding in 2013. In 2014, Cotterville took another run at it, and we received funding from East-West Gateway for this side of the roadway. Next slide.
Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry. Keep on going. That's fine. Just stay right there a minute. Go back.
Oop.
This is the 10-foot walk we put on the north side. Just recently completed. That was a $750,000 project. We participated in the funding for that with East-West Gateway. There was no road board money involved in that. So the road we're asking this project is to reconstruct and overlay this roadway, and as well put a new 5-foot sidewalk on this side. You can see when the road was originally built, both sides looked like this, to where the road was basically no sidewalks. It was just a paved shoulder up and down the roadway. This side is very dangerous. Kids walking down here to get to school. It's a narrow 4-foot wide walkway, and cars going right beside them 35 to 45 miles an hour. So it's very dangerous. Next slide. You're just stepping back down the roadway. Next slide. You can see that how skinny it is on one side compared to the nice 10-foot wide we built on this side. Okay. So here's a photo of what this side typically looks like standing on that side. All the inlets up and down this roadway, if you've seen it, are all sinking all the time. We're constantly repairing them. There's several accidents with people walking on this side of the road. It's a very dangerous situation. Again, with the traffic so close to the people. This is a typical section of what we're anticipating the road would be. New sidewalk on this side with a grass strip between it, so they're not sitting right on top of the roadway. It'd be a 5 to 6 foot walk depending on where it's located on that side. Okay. Funding wise, again, East-West Gateway approved this twice now. In 2013, they approved it for funding. They approved, well, actually, they approved it for us in 2014 to do our side. Now they've approved it again in 2018 to do the overlay and the sidewalk on the other side. So they see the need, obviously, for this roadway to be more pedestrian safe. Funding wise, East-West Gate, the total project was 1.9 is the estimate for this roadway and sidewalk improvements. East-West Gateway again approved 1.1 for the project. That leaves $760,000 as a balance. The proposal is, although this is 8% of the total, proposal,
Oh, sorry.
proposal is for Cottle is going to be ending up 20% of it, which would be the 152,000 of the 760,000, and then they're asking for the road board to contribute 680,000. So it'd be a 20%, 8% match of the 700 outstanding that the road board did not cover.
Is that really a letter route?
It is highway in. Years ago, MoDOT gave it
Okay.
Cottleville, so
So-
it maintained the name, but it's under City of Cottleville per se. It actually runs that way all the way through Cottleville until you turn and go north past the BMOS, and then when you get to the bridge, it goes back to Highway and State Control.
So it's just called, well, it's.
They maintain the
but it's-
name, but it's actually a city control route.
Thanks.
So you can see timing wise, right-of-way design and utilities would be 20, and then construction would actually be in 2021. So I'll stop there and see if you have any questions.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
City of O'Fallon.
So I'm Tony Friedman, Senior Project Manager for the City of O'Fallon. So this is going to be our presentation on the applications that we're going to be presenting this year for consideration by the County Road Board. So we have 5 projects. The first 2 are related to the Streets Caledonia development. First one is the Highway DD improvements. The second one is the construction of Caledonia Parkway and Dalriada Boulevard. Then we'll touch on the I-64 South Outer Road environmental studies. And then we have the I-70 Phase 2 cost overrun reimbursements, and finally we'll wind down with the Sonderud Road safety improvements, Phase 1 of that project. So here you can see where the projects are located within the greater City of O'Fallon. So Sonderud and I-70 Phase 2 are both concerning up north near the I-70 and Highway K interchange. And then the other 3 projects are located very close to the Highway DD, Winghaven Boulevard intersection with Interstate 64. So before I get into the first 2 projects, just a little bit about the actual Streets Caledonia development that we have planned. Basically, it's going to be a 260-acre mixed-use development near the intersection of I-64 and Highway DD in Winghaven. It's going to be 100 acres of commercial, which is going to be divided between retail and office use. So you can see some of the examples of each that we have there. And then the other 160 will be devoted to mixed-use residential, where we're looking at single-family homes, multifamily homes, and senior housing. Basically, commercial sites are going to be pad ready and are marketed for the listed purposes. The total development is equivalent to 8 typical subdivisions, and it's 3 times larger than the Streets St. Charles development. So it's a fairly sizable development, obviously the largest we had. So we are you get into it. So, and here's a map kind of how the whole thing lays out. So this is Highway DD, that's I-64 at an angle there, and so you can see how the whole thing kind of lays out. So with that, we'll get into the actual project. So the first part is the Highway DD improvements. So again, you can see here, so it's Highway DD basically from I-64 to just south of Caledonia Parkway. The existing conditions, so DD is an arterial 2-lane highway, south is I-64. We need to do some improvements in order to facilitate moving traffic through the area for a multitude of things that are going on. So here you can see kind of the project scope. So we want to add a traffic signal at the DD Caledonia Parkway intersection, adding a roundabout where DD and Del Riata Boulevard intersect. Look at some right-in, right-out side access for various parcels. Provide through lanes on the eastbound approach to I-64. Provide through lanes to the westbound approach on DD. Do the westbound right lane turn into a right-in, right-out. Extend the eastbound I-64 on-ramp to Caledonia. Provide a second left turn lane on westbound I-64. Provide a second westbound through lane on DD. Provide second left-hand turn, and then provide a left turn in Wing Haven, and then provide a 10-foot asphalt trail. So basically, well, like I said, we're trying to improve the ability of traffic to move through the area with this large development. There's a lot of things that are going on. We have 657 proposed homes, the new Streets of Caledonia commercial development. There are a lot of other homes in the immediate area. That development is also ongoing. There are a lot of newer schools near the Summers Road and DD intersection. There's 3 different schools there that see a lot of traffic. There's a lot of regional parks, O'Day and Bromelslick. And then we also have the new Bush Family Microbrewery that's going on down the road on Highway DD. So here you can see kind of the proposed developments. And so there are 12 specific bullet points, and you can see kind of where they fall along the area. So there's a lot of new improvements to this roadway to kind of facilitate all the development that would be going on. Here you can see some photos of just Highway DD itself. So this would be, so the big photo is looking northeast on DD. So this is towards I-64. Here you can see again, just so that photo is looking south on Highway DD. This is the existing portion of Caledonia Parkway that's already built. Obviously, that would be extended, and all of the wooded area would be developed into a new commercial and residential development. So here you can see is the funding breakdown. Overall, it's a $3.836 million project. We're asking the county to contribute $1.219 million and change, so 1.220, give or take, 31.8%. The developers would be contributing 7.9%. MoDOT would be considering, or federal funds would be making a 50%, and then other would be from 10.3. I'm sorry, so city is 7.9, the other is 10.3. So that's just the funding breakdown and kind of how everything shakes out. Moving on to the next one. So the next one, it concerns the actual 2 roads that would be built as part of the development, which are Caledonia Parkway and Del Riata Boulevard. So same way. Caledonia Parkway is actually noted on both the county and the O'Fallon thoroughfare plans. It's been planned for a while, it's my understanding. So existing, like I said, a portion of Caledonia already exists. It's already been built, but it dead ends. So Del Riata does not yet exist. So the idea is to construct 2 roads, Caledonia Parkway, which would stretch between the I-64 South Outer Road and Highway DD. It's a 3-lane road with islands, and then that transitions to 5 lanes once you start to approach Highway DD. This will be the main roadway through the commercial portion of the development. The second roadway is Del Riata Boulevard, and that connects between Caledonia and Highway DD. It's kind of a spur that comes off of Caledonia Parkway. It's only a 2-lane road, and then that transitions to 3-lane once you reach Long Haven Drive, which is another smaller roadway in it. That serves as a secondary roadway through the commercial development, but it serves as the primary roadway through the residential development. The idea here is, again, to help facilitate traffic movement through those streets. It also provides a continuous east-west connection between Highway N and Highway DD, which is fairly important because we don't have that many connector roads like that in O'Fallon. So here you can see, so this is the gray highlighted area is Caledonia Parkway. So you can see kind of how that ties into, so this would be I-64. This would be the outer road that would be developed, and so this provides a continuous connection between that and Highway DD. Del Riata is slightly southwest of Caledonia, and so that spurs off of that and then provides connection. So this would be a lot of your commercial development. This would be much more of your residential development. So you can see how those 2 roads help to facilitate movement through that. It would also extend over here to Caledonia Drive to facilitate some more of the residential development that would occur on that side. Here's the breakdown for this project. So in total, it's $7.6 million and change. 55% of that would be coming from county, 10% would be coming from the city of O'Fallon, and 35% of that would be coming from our partners in development. So you can just see how that breaks down. Third project is the ice. I'm sorry, go
Do
ahead.
we want to pause here?
Yeah, I
and
do.
have it? Yeah,
Okay, I was going to save questions for the end, but we'll go ahead.
Well, these 2 have come-
Absolutely, no, go ahead.
Amanda, on the first one, what do we think of that as an economic development? gonna drive to that area and that type thing?
So we, the city's gonna kill me here. So we went back and forth on whether both of these were economic development applications. They both probably could be. There was no, because there was no very quick timeline needed, and there's no specific jobs coming, you know, like the economic development applications are usually associated with somebody who's coming to the region and is bringing jobs. So like Amazon, the North Point people, they were bringing a specific number of jobs. We knew what those wages were gonna be. We knew exactly what was gonna be built, and we could associate that with the economic development application. This doesn't have that because the developer's still working on what will be filled in with these places, these retail, and I think there is room for office space. There's,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
it's a bunch of uses, but it doesn't fit our economic development model. So in the future, I think we may work on a broader application that's more like a mixed use, some kind of thing that can support these types of developments, but we don't have it yet. So
The first piece feels more economic, I mean, it's driving it to the development. The second piece is more specific to the development, in my eyes. At first blush, it's the first I've seen any of this, but,
yes,
I mean, you improve all that to get this, and again, we're sales tax based, so if you're gonna build out that much commercial, and again, obviously, commercial goes in, you're gonna have jobs, which is also gonna be revenue generated
yes,
for the county,
yes.
via all the commercial you're doing.
Yes,
So,
yeah. It just doesn't fit our mold right now, and I think it's something we'll work on in the future because we've gone back and forth, back and forth. They've filled out an economic development
Got
application.
several drafts of an
and then
economic
we
development
said,
application.
No, let's just turn it into a month.
I say more so on the first project, kind of bringing it down to there.
Yeah.
And less
Yeah.
about the second.
Yeah.
On the second, I mean, you've got O'Fallon putting in 10%.
So that was, that one, we sat down with the city, we discussed everything. So this is kind of going back to that model that was used for Duchenne Drive, where it was, because it's kind of a collector road being put in through a subdivision. I guess at some time it was determined that the extra cost to do that adds, you know, almost twice as much to the cost of the roadway. So because Caledonia Parkway is a needed route to be the South Outer Road, and it's going to serve, you know, more than just this development, we felt that the county could fund 55% of this, and then that model as well was 35% developer, 10% city. That's just the numbers, percentages that had been laid out
You
previously.
did that in St. Charles, you're saying?
Yeah, for the Duchenne Drive extension.
remember
It's been done I'd have to dig up the other
No, it's
examples.
fine.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
yep.
Can you pull up the slide that shows the whole development and then point to the road that Amanda's talking about as being the service road?
I think it was,
You went too
Oh,
okay.
so this would be the proposed, so the South Outer Road, I believe, dead ends right here currently. The idea would be to create a connection, and then this is Caledonia Parkway. That would then, so this is Highway DD, this is Interstate 64. So basically the South Outer Road would basically bleed into Caledonia Drive, that would go all the way through here, and then secondary to that, this would be Del Riata Boulevard. That would make a secondary connection on the Highway DD.
Yeah, I can see the benefit of the Caledonia, or the first one you described it there. I'm not quite so sure I see the benefit of the Del Riata, might be, so.
For us, yeah, for the county, I see that's a big plus for the developer.
Yeah.
So it could be split into two projects, Caledonia and Galeata is two different projects.
This is how we asked them to submit it. We will definitely discuss this further in our work session. And, you
The
know.
left end there, that's Public Water District number 2, right? Is that where it is?
This?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, this
Okay.
is, yeah. I guess, is it still public water, it's Woodard and Kearns, right? I guess, or they're managing BSWD too, yeah, there you go.
So is this whole project, was that brought into the city as a PUD? Or what?
What is a PUD? I apologize, not familiar.
A planned development, do you know?
I do not. Steve?
It was C2 zoning for the commercial, and then R for EUD for the residential.
What was your
for
basic,
residential.
what was your basic zoning to start off with?
Prior to that, it was
Yeah.
commercial up front along the highway, and then high-tech corridor.
But the project as a whole, was it brought in as a PUD, or what sort of, is it all split up into separate projects? Or normally when you have a commercial and a residential development like that, you bring it in as like a planned development, which creates a required commercial component. So what I'd like to know is, how was the whole project presented to the city? What sort of zoning is it gonna fit into as a project as a whole?
So it was split into the commercial area and then the R3 PUD. So the commercial area is separate from the R3 PUD.
Okay, so so they're not required to do one or the other together? Or they could do all the residential and never do the commercial, is that what you're saying?
There's requirements in our development agreement to finish off these roads and get all the commercial pad ready. Because one of the problems with this site is that all the utilities are not there. Water and sewer are not available to the commercial right now. So we have to bring those to the site, level it off, and get it ready for commercial. So they're required to get all that done. And then there's incentives built into the agreement that they don't get reimbursed unless they actually put commercial in there. Unless there's a sales tax driven business in there, they don't get their money.
So in order for them to do the residential component, they have to pad ready the commercial.
Yes.
What's their time frame?
They want to start clearing. So there's an Indian bat problem out here. So they cannot clear the trees until, I think, November of this year, and that's when they would start. And they went through P&Z and got their approval. So they'll be working on their final plans this summer.
Is it like 10 years for the total project in terms of like estimation for completion? I read that in your last time online.
Yeah, I don't
It was like a 10-year window.
I don't know if we've spelled it out to that level of detail, but for this size of a project, I think that's reasonable.
And
The
then-
residential will go faster than the commercial.
Yes. And on the commercial component, is that a concept plan or is that a plat that's already been submitted and approved, platted just like that? Or is that just their concept plan for the commercial?
That's a concept plan, but we are working on a plat to subdivide it into individual lots. That will be approved here soon.
Can I talk to you after the meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
What other types of funding are involved with this? TIFs, MIDs,
No
TDDs?
TIFs. There's a CID being proposed and a sales tax rebate being proposed.
Load out on the sales tax rebate.
So a sales tax rebate is, the city collects a sales tax and then we pass it back to the developer.
Or a portion of it.
Yeah, so it's only whatever the city gets.
So our county,
Pass it through.
It's just like.
Nobody else
We'll
is
still
affected.
get ours.
you can do with what you want with yours.
Right.
That's between you and them.
Right. That's why it works out well. That doesn't
The
affect anybody
CID?
else. The CID would be up to 1% on the sales tax.
Okay.
We're also seeking MoDOT cost share funds for a portion of it as well, right?
Correct. The MoDOT portion is through the cost share application,
Right.
which we've turned in, and we're going to have, that is going to our June meeting.
Isn't there a sunset on the CID or the transportation?
Yes.
What is it? Is it?
It's 20 years.
20 years.
Any further questions?
We'll have some more for you.
No, please. I didn't realize I needed to stop in between, but I will stop in between,
This
so.
means you kind of go together, so, thank you.
Yep, not a problem. And like I said, if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to stop. Okay, so third project is the I-64 Outer Road Environmental Studies. So basically this is, I have the wrong location, I apologize. Basically this is from Highway N up here all the way down to Highway DD. So basically it's this entire I-64 South Outer Road corridor. So right now the South Outer Road doesn't connect with Highway DD. Like I said, it gets close and then it just kind of dead ends. The North Outer Road does connect between Highway N and Winghaven Boulevard. So the idea here is to conduct both a National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, environmental assessment, and produce an access justification report, an AJR, for the proposed I-64 South Outer Road, or I-64 Outer Road Improvement Configuration. So this project is actually going to be a joint project, or it would be a joint project between the County Road Board, the City of O'Fallon, and the City of Dardenne Prairie, all of whom has jurisdiction at various points along that I-64 corridor. So the idea on this is, again, to just improve the traffic flow on the outer roads and make the connection that isn't currently there. So we had a study done a while ago, and I'm just going to kind of go through it. These are some of the basically proposed improvements that would go along the I-64 outer roads. So here, basically turning it into kind of a one-way outer road along the north. So this would be Technology Drive. So this would be providing a new entrance there. Here you can see a roundabout. So again, so this would be the South Outer Road. So this is still the North Outer Road. So this is all along Technology Drive. This is where the intersection with the MERS Farm Care comes in. So we'd be adding a new roundabout there. We'd be improving the on-ramps and the off-ramps on I-64. Be adding a new retaining wall, and then we'd be improving the South Outer Road starting here and improving the North Outer Road going there. Right now, I think this was the original concept. I can't recall if we're actually going to be doing this roundabout at this point in time. I think this might just be making a simple connection with Caledonia Parkway as opposed to doing the roundabout. But this is what the original study had recommended, so these are the examples that we're giving. Again, here you can see just more improvements along the outer roads. Here we're getting into sort of where the Caledonia development would be. And then here you can see, so this is the Winghaven Boulevard overpass, and you can see kind of the improvements that we're going to be doing along there. So again, brief summary. This is going to be an 80-10-10 split. So each of the cities, so the City of O'Fallon and the City of Dardenne Prairie would put forth 10%, and then the city would be doing 80%, or the county would be doing 80%. We estimate it will be $400,000 to do both studies. So these are both the precursors that you need to get improvement to actually start construction. So we wanted to kind of get on board with this and go with that. Any questions on that one?
Wasn't there some study last year proposed in this area? I
Maybe I was on the
highway or
364 side.
They did this thing, how much did you get for the original study?
It was just a small amount, so it's a continuation of
It's a
that.
continue,
taking it
so
to the next
they had to
step.
do, MoDOT requires
Yes,
a lot of
I know that
things
part
now.
of it.
So that was the conceptual study of the same project. So now we've kind of nailed down, hey, this is our concept. Now we can do an AJR and a NEPA. I know.
What is all this work, MoDOT's work?
So.
Everybody raises the skids to get them where it's ready to go, basically?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, but MoDOT has a funding issue, and if we prioritize this project, it's likely that this would be a cost share project later.
And then-
MoDOT would partially fund it, but probably is not going to add it.
50%, correct?
Yes, yes.
They're asking for us to go through this level of detail before they get into the cost share money and
Right.
then looking at constructing anything. So they're asking us to do it this way.
I think as part of the AJR, typically I think design goes to about 30%,
Yeah.
give or take, is one of the requirements on that. So they'll actually have a bit more of a design once we get through this to help aid in that. Yes, ma'am.
So this project here,
Yep.
on all the improvements through this stretch of road, what is the main driver of needing to do those? Is it the Caledonia development or is it other things?
The Caledonia development is one of the main drivers because obviously with that much commercial and residential development in the area, we're going to see a lot more traffic coming to that. And so making that South Outer Road connection and improving the ability of people to move through the area would be a huge boon to that. It also is just, like I said, I don't know how to put it. Steve, what would you say? I hesitate to say that it's all Caledonia because it's not just Caledonia, but
No,
it's.
not at all.
It's,
I'd say not at all.
So it's improving access on and off the highway. And Darting Prairie's big interest was trying to get people off the highway into their existing shopping development area. Because if you're traveling westbound 40, you don't really have an option to get off without going through a circuitous route to get there. So this gives them an exit that they can get people to their shopping center. It also opens up territory on the north side for better commercial development. And that's the same thing that we were looking at. We started this before Caledonia was even a thought. It's just Caledonia was on a fast track and beating us to it. But we were looking at the same things Darting Prairie was, trying to make that south side ready for commercial development, good quality development. And getting people on and off the highway was the best way to do that. It also solves a lot of traffic problems up at Highway N and Hawk Ridge Trail. That's a very busy, congested area. And with this development, we're going to pull people away from that area because pretty much everybody's funnels at N and Hawk Ridge Trail. And if we can give them a different way on and off the highway, it's going to really help out that other area.
Yeah. They have to make a quick right and then get over like 4 lanes to make a left, and it's awful, and this would get rid of that.
Okay, so I just want to make one comment before you go on, is regarding the Caledonia development and the commercial component to it, is it looks really great. It's, everybody can use more taxes. I'm a commercial broker, and the Meadows is giving back a lot of their commercial property to some multifamily users because they couldn't get it built out and they're struggling. So I'm just a little bit surprised, I guess, that there would be that much commercial dedicated to a project in an area that is struggling to, the existing commercial properties are struggling to either build anything out or maintain, be successful, I guess, in for the existing businesses that are there. So I just wanted to make that comment that it just seems like a lot of commercial to digest over the period of time that the neighborhood would be built out. It's a pretty big development. And if we're all looking for this commercial Caledonia development to create a lot of taxes and pay back, and we're building a lot of things for that, it's concerning to me that there's a lot going into the hope and aspirations of that actually getting off the ground. I just want to make that comment.
It could be a zero-sum game, like out here at 70th Bid River Small.
Sure.
The brand new, that's full, but across the street you've got vacancies. So do we gain that much in commercial?
Right now, no, the answer is no. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah,
So,
but I mean, but again, you get the brand new stuff up and it fills up. But the stuff around it suffers.
There's stuff on Messenger Road that's been built, it's been empty for 10, 12 years, we've never had a tenant in it.
it's just a comment.
Sure.
A lot of the cities are having analysts come in and look at their land use plans to get rid of some of the commercial and turn it into something else that's usable. So it's happening in every city in the county right now.
Any other questions? All right. Number 4, the I-70 Phase 2 cost overrun. So, as anybody who's in the area of Fallon knows, there's a lot of stuff going on in Highway 70 and Highway K right now. That would be Phase 1. Phase 2 is going to be basically going from Highway K to Woodlawn, the Woodlawn overpass on that side. Basically, Phase 1 is set to be completed in the fall of this year. Phase 2 is set to start construction pretty soon. So basically, the idea behind this is to cover some of the anticipated cost overruns for the Phase 2 of the project. Basically, currently the overruns are the right-of-way, construction testing, construction itself. Basically, if you total all those up, we round it up to about 1.6 million. If you subtract the work associated with Crestview, which is a realignment to help the on-ramp at that point, that's 430,000 we're subtracting out. And then what we're asking for is a 50-50 split between the city and county of $1,170,000. So basically, it just allows for the projected construction associated with Phase 2 to start taking place. So a bit of an explanation. So basically, in right-of-way, it's trending higher than we would have liked. We have several parcels that are refusing to cooperate or negotiate with the city at all, and so we're going to have to get into condemnation with that. We anticipate kind of a higher compensation amount based on what's happened in phase one. Construction testing, that work wasn't shown in the original application, and it's necessary for QA/QC, and we estimate that to be $60,000. The removal of improvements, so basically for Sanders Road, when they finalized the horizontal and vertical alignments that were necessary, what it wound up being is that we needed to remove more than we anticipated, so we estimate that's going to be an additional $40,000. Earthwork, same thing on Woodlawn, there's going to be some changes in that, and so when they finally finalized the horizontal and vertical alignments, it was going to be a little bit more than what we anticipated. We estimate that to be $118,000. The retaining walls near Woodlawn are also going to be, again, just because of how things change once we finalize the design, that's going to be an increase. The sanitary line that has to be relocated to accommodate the final off-ramp for the one-way outer roads, that was $100,000. ITS work, so MoDOT is requiring a lot more in terms of ITS, so basically it's this like intelligent transportation system components. So basically the idea is the traffic signals all talk to each other. In the event of an emergency, they can be automatically reprogrammed to help move traffic through that. They require a lot of that stuff now. Based on what happened in I-70 Phase 1, we anticipate that's going to be some overruns in there to the tune of about $122,000. Storm system, again, it just increased based on when things kind of were finalized versus the concept that the application was based on. And then small miscellaneous items. There's just a few things that kind of were over, $1,000 here, $500 there, and that all added up to about $20,000. So here you can see kind of a concept of everything that's going to be going on. It's mainly this work between these two streets. So you can see kind of the outer road stuff, a lot of the realignment on the north side, on ramp and outer road, but that's just kind of a concept of what's going on. So again, we'd be seeking a 50-50 split between the city and the county. We're partners in this project already, so it seemed good. We estimate the overruns are going to be $1,170,000, so each would be putting in $585,000.
How much was this project originally?
For the total I-70 project,
No,
just phase 2. I apologize. I don't know off the top of my head. I can get that information to you, but yeah, I don't know what the total was. Any other questions?
The 50% required because this is a cost-sharing deal. Even though it's an overrun, but it's still on the service road, basically, right?
Yeah, they had just done 50-50 on the other, and so we just left it the same. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. And last, we have Sonderen Road. Basically, so Sonderen is basically Main Street and Highway K are right here. Sonderen is one road over. What we're asking for is, in this phase of the project, so we're breaking Sonderen actually in 2 phases. So it would extend from the East Terrace Sonderen connection loop road here and up through East Pittman Street. Basically, it's a collector, and we expect to see, and we are seeing, an increase in average daily traffic upon completion of the I-70 South Outer Road. Since the outer road is one way, Sonderen is basically the first road that they can turn off after they exit off of I-70. So what we would be looking for is design, right-of-way, and construction. What we want to do is widen. So right now, the section of road that I talked about is two lanes. We want to widen that out to a full 3-lane road all the way down to East Pittman. We'd like to reconstruct the sidewalk on the west side and then construct a brand new sidewalk on the east side. There's a school right in the immediate vicinity. There's a lot of students who use that sidewalk. It's in very poor condition. It doesn't connect all the way, so we'd like to give them nice new ADA compliant sidewalks on both sides, and then add curb and gutter and storm sewers. So here you can see kind of what the typical section is going to be and kind of where we're looking at. So again, there is this portion is concrete. It transitions, I think, about right here, and then it goes down to a 2-lane road. What we want to do is take that 2-lane and widen it out to a 3-lane all the way up to East Pittman, again to facilitate the increase in traffic that we've seen. Also add sidewalks on both sides. The west side exists, but we'd like to bring it up and make it new and make it compliant with ADA. On the east side, we'd like to build a brand new sidewalk. Here you can see the PCI ratings. So we're in the 70s, kind of in here, and we dip down into the 60s once you get up a little ways. So it's not in the best shape. It actually took quite a beating over the winter. It's not in terrible shape. We don't think it'll be a full reconstruct, but it definitely needs new resurfacing and some work done on the actual pavement itself. There are some areas where we're seeing some isolated structural failures that we can correct with full depth repairs and an overlay of the road. So here you can see some photos. Yeah, pretty straightforward project. There's going to be some issues on the east side just because the grade is on the east side just because the grade is kind of up and down, but they shouldn't be too big of a deal. We just anticipate that we can take care of it and provide a new sidewalk for everybody. So we estimate the total cost of the project to be $1.85 million. What we're looking for is an 80-20 split between the county and the city. So, any questions?
What are the utility relocations that you got to do?
There are some lights that are currently in the way. The pictures kind of don't do it justice. Some of the lights on the east side are, so like this light in particular is really close to that sidewalk. It probably needs to be moved back. There are going to be there are some buried utilities, I think, on this side that are going to have to get relocated, and due to the grade issues, it's going to be a little bit of a mess. Not something we can't handle, but it's going to get dicey in there when we finally uncover everything. So, and then I believe, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, I think, similar to Main Street, I think when they built Sondern, I think they actually ran a water main underneath of that. I don't think it'll have to get relocated, but during the course of construction, it may have to get patched, things like that happen.
The first picture there,
Yes, ma'am.
you said a light there. That's just stop signs.
No, this light pole.
Oh, the light pole.
Yeah, the light pole is what would have to be.
Cost for that, that's within city right away, right?
Well, it's the as-built drawings that we have for Sondern, which was built quite a long time ago, are not exactly perfect. So they would be part of the survey study that we'd have to determine. We are 99% sure it's in there, but just in case something came back bad, we just wanted to have something in there.
This application go to East West Gateway?
Did Sondern go to East West Gateway?
Yeah.
I don't believe we've applied to East West Gateway. I think we've only applied to County Road Board at this point in time.
We did it as Great Streets.
We did, yeah. Yes, I apologize. It wasn't a traditional TAP application for East West Gateway. We applied for a Great Streets application and were summarily denied.
We just care that you asked.
Yep.
So was this the project that came before us last year?
Correct.
It was the
Same-
same thing?
same project.
Same project, okay. I thought I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Do you own all the ground where you're going to expand to 3 lanes, or do you have
Yes.
to purchase? Okay.
No, every expansion out to 3 lanes would still be within the city's right of way. There are basically a lot of like smaller green spaces in between that would allow us basically to
How much
expand out.
residential is through that section? Is it mostly commercial, or is there residential?
There is, I don't believe there's any commercial, I'm sorry. Can't really see.
So perfect.
Yeah, that's fine. So you have the school here. You do have residential here, but there is a temporary connection, I believe, right here, just due to the outer road. I don't believe that connection is going to stay permanently, is it?
It's permanent.
It is permanent? Okay. So then this is all residential basically right here. Directly off of Sondern is all commercial.
Except for one house, right up there.
Oh, yes, I apologize. That corner is the house, because this is residential here along Pitt. You're right.
Do you know how much traffic is on the road?
Let's see, I think the ADT is,
4,700.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think it was 4,000 or above, yeah, it was close to 5,000.
And that's during the school day?
Correct, that accounts for, yeah, so whenever we do ADT studies, it's an average over 5 days, and we always do Wednesday through Sunday. Try and get an average that includes weekdays and weekend days, just to see if there's any patterns. Any other questions?
What did the traffic go to once this one lane was getting taken care of on 70? Did you guys know what that was before?
Like prior to?
Prior to?
It was around 4,000. You mean, like what was the traffic on Sondern prior to? It was around 4,000. So right now we've seen an increase of almost 1,000 vehicles a day. we expect it to kind of continue as things continue in the area, but we'll see. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. City of St. Peters?
Good evening. I'm the transportation engineer for the City of St. Peters, Amanda Rich. I'll be presenting for the City of St. Peters tonight. So we have 5 applications that we submitted this year. 2 370 and Salt River Road interchange applications, 1 for some lane additions at Spencer Road, a multi-use path in turn lane addition on Mid-Ridge Drive, and a sidewalk connection and roadway stabilization project for Mexico Road. So the first project that we submitted was the 370 Salt River Road, Phase 1. It's RIP 1. We've received funding from you all last year for the AJR study, and we're moving through that pretty quickly. And this is kind of what we've determined so far. So from the study, we determined that there's a lot of congestion at Mid-Ridge Mall Drive, a lot of congestion at Cave Springs and 70, and limited access to and from the Premier Business Park through here on Premier Parkway. In this project, we'll construct a ramp from eastbound Salt River Road to westbound 370, which will really provide a really good connection from the business park, as well as from Salt River Road, and provide a good reliever route for traffic. Whenever an incident happens on I-70, you can get off, say 79, take it up to Salt River Road, and avoid the area and back down to 70 with this ramp. So far with the AJR study, we've determined the need for dual right turn lanes from Spencer Road onto the ramp. Obviously the ramp connecting down to 370, some widening on the bridge here over Premier Parkway. And then from the study, we determined that this area between the existing ramps will be too tight. You'll have a lot of weaving issues. So with the project, we would barrier separate. So if you wanted to go from Salt River Road eastbound to westbound 370, you would get off here at the Spencer ramp, go through the signal, and then continue down through to the ramp. So lots of study, lots of modeling has been done with this project, and it's determined that this configuration can work with the projected traffic. Like I said, the performance measures improve utilization of the 370 I-70 interchange, reduce congestion and level of service at Mid Rivers and Cave Springs in I-70, as well as improve access from the Premier 370 Business Park and promote additional economic development, not only for our area, but the rest of St. Charles County as well. And the funding breakdown, so overall it's about a $3.3 million project. We've proposed that the county absorb 50% of the project, the city 21%, and then the MoDOT, or sorry, federal funding, we apply for federal funding for 28.6% of the project. If we're able to, we'd like to apply for some cost share funding as well. So there's definitely the opportunity to reduce that 50% by some, if we can get MoDOT to jump in there with us. So, any questions about this piece? All right. So again, Salt River Road and 370, this phase 2, same area. So same goals: reduce congestion, Cave Springs and Mid Rivers and I-70, and improve on the limited access to and from Premier Parkway.
Back up a second, just on that. There's no issue with that construction on that in 2022. Is there not more of an urgency to get something done down there and keep all that moving down there? I mean, they're building so fast down there.
Once you get to the cost, you'll see why.
Yeah, you'll
just,
see why.
2022 is kind of the earliest we think that we can fund this and get it, yeah. The phase 1 could be sooner.
I was
So-
talking,
Phase
Oh,
1
yeah,
was
yeah.
That's why I'm
2022.
trying to back up.
Okay, that was because of the federal funding. Federal funds construction are not available until 2022.
said, my worry about down there is we will not stay ahead of anything down there, but we'll be playing catch up
We
as
will.
fast as they're building, and they're gonna end up using other roads that are gonna just
Yeah.
be our death. That way, we'll get them on the highways and get them out of here, all those trucks anyway.
Yeah.
But I was talking on phase one, that's what.
Yeah, sorry,
to
yeah.
interrupt.
Yep.
So we pushed phase one as early as we could by reducing the amount of federal funding that we're asking for. We could possibly get the project earlier, but it just depends on if they are willing to play ball and fund the project.
Well, we could
So-
get reimbursed, couldn't we?
We could, yes, I believe we could.
Just a thought.
Mhm.
So phase two is the opposite. So westbound 370 to eastbound Salt River Road. With this project, the reason for the pushing this off a little bit further is 3 bridges. So there's one bridge parallel to 370 over Premier Parkway, and then 2 bridges over the ramps, or over 370 and then the ramps to get you down to Spencer Road. So this is exactly like the exactly opposite of the phase one project. You would come down onto a ramp that takes you through the Spencer signal and then on through to Salt River Road. Just because of the weaving distance, we weren't able to get enough space without having to provide that access down through the signal and then back up again. So, and again, same performance measures: improved utilization of the 370 I-70 interchange, reduced congestion at I-70 Mid Rivers and Cave Springs, and improve access to the Premier 370 Business Park, and then promote additional economic development in the area. The proposed cost breakdown is as follows. It's a $14 million project. 50% cost share with MoDOT is what we're going for, and then 38% federal funding, 9% county, and then 2% city funding. Project number 3 is Spencer Road and Premier Parkway Lane additions. So with the AJR study of the interchange at Salt River and 370, it's been determined that some pavement widening needs to happen there at Premier Parkway and Spencer to accommodate all the additional traffic that's going to be generated by all the businesses in the Premier Business Park. Today, you've got a single left turn lane in, you've got a left out and a right out. This project is proposing just the pavement widening because we've already got a funding agreement with the county to construct the signal. Just the pavement widening to accommodate the additional lanes in the future. If we don't do this now, these are the islands that are there that will accommodate the single left turn lane into Premier Parkway and the single right turn lane out. If we don't do that, the proposed islands for when there's 2 lanes shift out, and there's a little bit of overlap. So we've really got nowhere to put our signals that will work for the single lane and the dual lane. So it's really important to do this now so we don't have to move a signal in the future. So obviously the performance measures improve intersection level of service, accommodate the signal equipment for the future lane alignments, and then improve access to and from the business park. And the cost breakdown for this is 80-20, the $536,000 project. We currently, like I said, have an agreement with the county for about $440,000, and this proposed amendment would be a $429,000 increase in the agreement. Project number 4 is the Mid-Rivers Mall Drive multi-use path and right turn lane improvements project. Currently, kind of sell this. So currently we've got a TAP project going on up by Cottleville Parkway to improve the trail system there. The City of Cottleville has improved the trail system along Route N, and then we're proposing to add a connection here from Route N down to 364, which will eventually tie into the county's park down south of 364. So the existing conditions are that there is a shared through right turn lane at the intersection of Home Depot Plaza and Mid-Rivers Mall Drive. Chick-fil-A is here. There's a lot of right turn traffic in and out of that intersection. getting, particularly in and out of Chick-fil-A. It's very busy. Let's be honest, it's a very busy place. So people like to use the shoulder to get around traffic waiting at the signal. The shoulder, as you can see, is a little bit of concrete. It's a little bit of asphalt. It's not really holding up very well to that, and it's not really intended for that purpose. So with this project, we would reconstruct that as a right turn lane. Also, with this project is the trail improvements. So from Route N down to 364, we currently have a trail on the west side of the roadway. It's not in the greatest shape. It's kind of, sometimes you're in the street, and sometimes you're on a trail, sometimes you're in the mud. You're kind of all over the place, so it's not really great. So this is the east side of the roadway. We're proposing turning that into a trail. And you can see we've got really poor curb ramps. We've got trip hazards, pole boxes sticking out of the sidewalk. We've got areas where it just goes from 6 feet to a couple feet, and then it just ends. So there's really no good way to get to that trail connection piece that actually exists down there at 364. So we're proposing to connect all those pieces. Like I said, install the trail along that side, and then the right turn lane that will take you into the Chick-fil-A area, Home Depot, Applebee's, all that good stuff. Performance measures reduce congestion at the intersection, improve safety, as well as provide an ADA compliant path and a continuous path on that west side to get you down to the existing path at 364. Cost breakdown for this project, it's 20% county, 5% city, 74% federal. We applied for federal funds for this project. It's a $1.17 million project. However, we applied for an active transportation project. Federal, they made us take out the right turn lane improvements, and so with this application, we've assumed 20 county-city split for the right turn lane project itself, and then 80-20 split of the sponsor share for the federal funding piece for the trail. So it's actually a pretty small portion going towards the trail. The right turn lane itself is about $200,000, so it's a very, very small piece.
So, and kind of as we discussed at our last meeting when we kind of brought up the funding trails, I'm going to reach out to Parks about this and see if we can try to figure out a way for us to all be working together, and maybe they'll fund that portion of the trail and we can fund the road project. It makes total sense that we're doing all this together. I love that, and I think we can all work together to make that very,
Whatever
very
you're
nice.
willing to we'll graciously accept.
That's why I just took the application and we'll work it out.
Okay. And then project number 5 is a Mexico Road sidewalk connection and roadway stabilization project. The location is between First Executive Avenue and Juggerman Road over here. It's on the south side of the roadway. Lutheran High School is down the road, and that's 14 Mile East here. And the hospital is on the north side there. So the existing sidewalk there is no existing sidewalk. It's kind of a muddy path through there. The creek is actually eroding away. You can kind of see here, it drops off very quickly there. It's eroding away back behind the guardrail there. Some of the guardrail is unsupported at this point. If someone were to hit that, there's no redirectional capabilities on that guardrail. It's also very, very low. It's almost to the ground in some locations. So, and you can see the erosion around this sewer there. So, this project will install a wall along the creek bank here, about 6 feet off the back of the curb. On top of that wall will be a fence, and then in front of that fence would be a sidewalk. And like I said, the sidewalk would connect all the way from First Executive all the way to right before CVS at Jungerman, where we currently have a sidewalk. The performance measures are to stabilize the roadway, number 1, and increase the safety by replacing that guardrail and creating a safer situation for drivers. as well as pedestrians, and then provide an ADA compliant path and a continuous path along that side. Like I said, Lutheran High School is right there on the corner. A lot of the kids like to walk from there to CVS or to the gas station to get sodas and chips and candy, and they can't do that really well right now. So the project as a whole is $1.26 million, and we're proposing an 80-20 split between the county and the city. Any questions? So our funding priorities would be the 370 ramps, first and foremost, and then the Spencer Premier lane additions, followed by Bitters Mall, and the Mexico sidewalk. That's all right.
Any questions? Thank you. St. Charles County Highway Department.
Good evening, Chris Bostic, St. Charles County Highway Department. I was really wanting to bring you about 8 or 9 projects, but I think we'll just keep it down to 3. Get out of here before 6 o'clock. So, I have 2 of them for you. Both of them may be slightly confusing with the name, but they're miles apart. And when I get to Interstate Drive, we'll explain where those are at. So, let's start off with the intersection improvement first at Central School and St. Peter's Howell Road. So, situation we have here is a significant amount of traffic, primarily southbound to eastbound in the morning. So St. Peter's Howell traffic coming on Central School, T intersection, turning to the outer road to 364, and obviously a reverse type situation in the PM. So it's a fairly short project. Basically, we'll start from the school entrance over a little bit past St. Peter's Howell, not quite all the way to the ramp. And the road section there, and also on St. Peter's Howell from Central School up to Tolley Drive. So you say the situation right now, traffic-wise, is not great. The PM peak, when we run the model on that, 456 seconds of delay. For the improvements that we're talking about, we'll get that down to 56, so it'll be a significant improvement. It is not as bad in the morning, but it still is a level of service E, so we're right close to the F, and it's we can take that 58 seconds down to 22 seconds, primarily with just some lane widening. That's what we're talking about. Just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with here, give you a little overview. The gas station on the corner is now closed, but school, Francis Howell's Bus Barn, is right up the road on St. Peter's Howell, so that certainly doesn't help things any. So like I say, just a standard just 3-lane intersection right now. The improvements that we're talking about doing are, for one, since we have that heavy movement west to north and vice versa, is adding a lane. So adding a second right turn lane onto Central School Road. We can shave some land off the corner here. The gas station there has been abandoned for a while now. We'll have 2 lanes headed north end, which eventually will become a turn into the school for the buses. Everybody else continue past this Tolley Road Drive at the very top there. We'll also have a right turn lane we'll develop coming down this direction, which we can bring all the way around the corner. We'll be moving the sidewalk back, and that'll take it all the way down to the school entrance again. So helping facilitate some of that school traffic movement and get them out of the way. And lastly is a lane addition on the south side of Central School Road. That'll continue through, that's the Walgreens, and again tying into some pavement here eventually past the Walgreens. Other access point on the Central School Road. So basically, as I was saying, it'll be signal modification, but it's primarily just a pavement widening type project and pushing back the sidewalks. Cost-wise, we have submitted this for federal funding. We're looking at design next year, right away to follow. The utility figure at this point is just an estimate. Anticipate the majority would be in the right of way, but it's a little too early to tell at this point. Construction-wise, a not huge project, but it's $1.42 million. So our request of through East West Gateway was 55% federal, and as we do, we look to the road board for the remaining portion of the project. Anybody have any questions on this one? All right. Moving on to it's a project you've seen multiple times before. This is Interstate Drive from Quail Ridge Park down to Prospect Dwello Road. Project, the length It's a little over a mile, around a mile if I remember correctly. It is obviously a narrow 2-lane roadway. You'll see from the pictures, and as we talked about before, the pavement's in horrible condition. Part of the issue being that some of that is and still owned by MoDOT, a great portion of it. There's no shoulders out there. We got drop-offs. Say the pavement's bad, it's a 3 out of 10, and that might be generous at that. So we are rutting, rattling the potholes, and a reasonable ADT right now, over 3,000. And you know, like everything else, it's always increasing out here. So see a couple shots of what we're talking about here, what this looks like, which is a lot of patches, a lot of rutting, and a road that's essentially falling apart. So with the park up there on the corner, what we're talking about typical section-wise is adding a sidewalk on the side that's adjacent to the park, so away from the highway. On the other side there be a shoulder, used to accommodate bicyclists through there. Otherwise it'd basically just be a 2-lane road still, reconstructed. 2-lane road with a curb on the sidewalk side, and then if turn lanes are warranted at some of the subdivision turn in there, then that's something that we would include if it's justified. So there's a little bit of vertical alignment to improve out there as well, and otherwise it's just kind of a standard reconstruction project. Cost-wise, what we're looking at, and this has been submitted, East-West Gateway again. It was close last year, did not make the cut, so we have revised the federal portion downward. We're now asking for only $900,000 in federal funds, which will gain a few more points in their scoring process. So bottom line, it's a little over a $4 million project. The county, as we typically do, picks up design right-of-way and utilities without asking for a federal match. We'll put that rest of the money into construction then. So it's $900,000 federal, and we are pursuing a cost share with MoDOT since it is their road. They ultimately intend to get rid of it, pawn it off on us or the city of Wentzville. But at this point, we're looking for them to hopefully contribute 40% through cost share, and then 22% through East-West Gateway, which will take our portion then down a little over 1.5 million, and we can finally get this done. All right, any questions on that one? Okay. Last one is another segment of Interstate Drive. This is way out farther to the west, several miles away. We talked briefly about this one earlier in the year, last year. The project we're talking about specifically is an extension of Interstate Drive from the new David Huckle Parkway over west to Shaver Road. What we have is City of Wentzville's interchange here. You can see their outer roads, North Point Prairie, South Point Prairie. So the projects that are currently under design, requiring right-of-way, nearing construction this year is the extension from Interstate west of South Point Prairie to David Huckle Parkway. City's project here, county's project, we call our David Huckle Parkway Phase 1. That'll go down and tie into South Point Prairie down here. So all that dashed funded should start this year. As we're dealing with the right-of-way acquisition here, basically trace you out some property limits. There's a large tract of land that runs way down this way up, all owned by the same 3 individuals. It's a partnership. They came to us and said that if you will donate the right-of-way, or if you will build the road from Interstate Drive, from DHP to Shaver Road, we will donate the right-of-way. It's not a bad deal. We'll also donate the right-of-way for all of David Huckle Parkway, and through further negotiation, they also agreed to have their consultant design the road. So ultimately, we're only just talking about money to build this road connection a half mile, which is something on our thoroughfare plan and something we've always planned to do. Anyway, so typical section-wise, it's going to look like the other parts of Interstate Drive in that general area, which in the short term is 2 lanes of pavement, a shoulder where it could be restriped to 3 lanes in the short term, but ultimately we'll have sewers in also, so a lane can be easily added, converted to curb and gutter, and we put the sidewalk in on both sides, and it's an expandable type road that'll go in for what it needs now, but can be expanded fairly easily in the future. So cost-wise, where we're at is developers providing design costs. They're providing right-of-way for this project, as well as an even higher amount of money for the other David Huckle Parkway project, which I'm not including on this. And then construction estimates out at $2,150,000. So 80% road board, 20% developer, plus what they've already contributed on the other phase of the project.
Donation, that way do, or has that always been there on the other piece?
On the other piece, City of Wentzville actually had a good relationship with the developer. We had not necessarily anticipated it, and they basically said, "Hey, you guys will probably give you the right of way." So when we got to the point that we were discussing, I said, "They would absolutely do that, but we want to see it go all the way to Shaver Road." So, all right, and that is all I have. Okay.
We're going to do 3 extra
Thank you.
points from it as 3, so that's
That's
great.
Mark it down.
Thank you. Any new business this evening?
I'll just say, I think, East West Gateway should have recommendations at our May 1 meeting. So by next meeting, we should know which projects are recommended for federal funds. East West Gateway is also working on their long-range plan, which I think has been made public in draft form. So if anybody wants to look that up and make comments on anything, please do so. We did get $35 million for I-70 in St. Charles and $35 million for I-70 at the Wentzville Railroad underpass in the long range plan. So that's good news. Yeah, in the first year, so in the next 10 years. So I'll send that link to the board members when I have it. I think that's the big stuff.
Under other business, obviously our next regular meeting will be Wednesday, May 15th. And we'll do the other half or the other this next month. So motion to adjourn.
Now, wait, I got a question. Sure.
Okay.
The percentages between all the different entities, it's all over the place. Can you explain that?
Well, so East West Gateway changed their the way they score. So if you put in an application for like under $950,000, you get more points than if you put one for 1.5 million. So the rounding is very much off because people are just picking an arbitrary number as opposed to a percentage because of that. It's based on the overall funding available instead of the percentage of project costs. So that's kind of where a lot of that weirdness is coming from.
Well, that's not really where my
Oh,
question
okay.
is. The question is between the city and the county, the percentages are all over the place.
So typically, it's an 80-20 split of whatever's left after everybody else contributes.
I thought we had talked about 50% last year. We were bringing everybody into the same.
No. For MoDOT projects, we won't contribute more than 50% from county road board, but typically on any other project, we'll go 80-20 on whatever they don't get from other sources.
But I'll go back and look and see, but it is still all over the place, I thought.
I'll check, but I think
where
there's
there's other funding.
Yeah, there's
maybe
developers
because
and
they're
there's,
looking at the total.
yeah. There's some weird ones.
You're getting the percentage of the total project.
Yep.
Yeah.
Versus,
If you go in and calculate out the percentage between the city and the county, it should generally be 80-20.
and if we find that's not the case, we'll bring that up.
Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions? Motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. See you all next month. Thank you for coming.